Yes, hello, welcome to Blazing for Purpose with Jojo. I am super excited to be here today because I have an amazing friend of mine here today, Marlene, and I'm super excited that she's here with us. She's going to be sharing some great insights, some good knowledge, and some profound wisdom that this generation needs. Knowledge for the family, advice for young people, for anyone really. Like, she is a depth of wisdom. And so without hesitation, I will introduce Marlene here and she'll tell us about herself, and we're going to have such a good conversation. So we invite you to join us and grab your cup of coffee and settle in. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and subscribe for more things like this. So here's Marlene. Yeah, hi Marlene.
Hi.
It's so good to finally have you here.
Oh,
Yeah, so
nice.
our viewers today want to know about you. They want to learn about you. I mean, you have been such a good friend to me, and you're always very supportive of me. And I wanted to share your wisdom, your insights with our viewers today. Somebody who would really tune into today. And I want you to introduce yourself. Tell us about you. How old you were? People want to know because you're so good looking, by the way.
Oh. Well,
Yeah.
my name is Marlene Perky, and I'm 93, going on 94, and I have many grandchildren, 34, and great-grandchildren. That is, no, I have grandchildren. It's 18, but I have great-grandchildren, 34, and I have great-great, that's about, I have 5. So, yeah.
Wow. You're 93 years old. You
93.
look so good for 93. What's the secret? What's the secret?
Well, I try to exercise. I try to move my body all the time,
That's good and
and try to eat the right things, and get sleep.
that's good.
So, yeah.
Sleep is good.
All
Most
the
people
good
are
things,
struggling
yeah.
with sleep these
Yeah.
days. I mean, that's really good.
Don't eat as many vegetables as I should. I like vegetables. It's just hard to cook for yourself and get the rounded meal.
Yeah, but whatever you're doing it right because you're in shape. You do all these things for 93 years old.
I do my own
goodness.
yard work,
Uh-huh.
do all my own mowing and
Yeah.
so forth, and pull my weeds and so forth.
Nice. Well, good. Yeah, I want to learn something about you. Tell me about your story. What's your story? What?
Well, I was born and raised in North Dakota,
Mhm.
and from a large family. We had a family that ate together, and we all worked and contributed to our family, and it was good memories back in those days.
Mhm. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Family.
and I had 4 children after I got married. I moved to Oregon and had 4 children, and then it exploded in all these grandchildren, great-grandchildren.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
amazing. You have such a lot. I mean, I've met some of them, and
Yes.
you're just a bright light. Like when everybody sees you, everyone's just excited to see you.
No, thank
Wow,
you.
that's amazing. Yeah, I want to ask you, so you got married, you had kids, and how was that before compared to what is happening today? Especially, let's talk about family. Like, how was family back then, and how is family today, according to your view?
Well, we had a big family. Like I say, there was 9 of us. 6 lived, and 2 of my little brother and sister passed away before I was born. But we had a mom and dad, and which a lot of families don't have mother and father nowadays, which makes it very difficult. I think every child needs a mother and a father, both.
Mhm.
And we first place that I was taken was to church, and been going ever since. Gave my heart to the Lord when I was just a child,
Wow.
and I never regretted it. It's been a wonderful walk with the Lord now till these last few years of my life.
Oh, that's amazing. Were your parents, so when you say that you gave your lives to Christ when you're young, were your parents believers, and how did they inspire you to become a believer?
Yes, my mother and father were both believers, and we were taken to church Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, prayer meeting, And that's when we used to get down on our knees. We didn't stand. We got down on our knees and prayed.
Yeah.
And we would make our lists out. Mama said, you make a list out, and then you'll know who to pray for and what to pray for.
And as a child, how was your relationship with God? Was it best because you saw your parents believe praying, or was it something you did out of your heart? How was that relationship when you're young with God?
Well, when we were small, of course, we were dedicated to the Lord when we were babies. But when we came to the place where we knew that we needed a Savior and that He died for us, and that we need to give our hearts to the Lord. And that was, after that was when we were baptized, after we had given our hearts to the Lord, asked for forgiveness in our hearts, and asked Him to come in and live within our lives. And that was when we started to walk with the Lord.
Oh, that's amazing. So you walked with the Lord, and I guess you went to college and did all this.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I went, my family back there in those days, the boys didn't even, well, none of them, my sisters and brothers, finished high school. I did. I was the only one that walked across the stage and got my diploma. I never did go to college. Back there in those days, it wasn't as important as it is now for college education, especially for the women. It is now, but not then. And I felt as a young person that I had a missionary call, and I had really planned to give my life to in full-time missions. But I met a man, and he swept me off my feet.
Tell us about that. Tell us about this man.
And that changed my whole focus in life. And I decided then that I would make my children my mission field.
Wow.
And that's what I did. And I was sorry I wasn't God's first and what He had intended for my life. But in the end, I am pleased with my children's lives, and it's good to see your children also giving their lives to the Lord and living their lives out for the Lord in whatever He calls them to do.
I love what you said, that you made your children
your
mission field.
Yes, I did.
Because I feel like today maybe parents don't see us as priority. Would you speak onto that to parents right now today, maybe who feel like, my kids maybe would decide for themselves? Because today I feel like parents and the children are kind of disconnected. But what you've said, it's so profound that your children became your mission field. Would you speak more about that?
Well, we talked about the values of being a Christian, about the stealing, and of course, I remember one time when I was a child, I went into the store and I took something, and it's a slow process, but you continually teach your children that was wrong. My mother made me take it back, and little things like that. And she'd give us 10 pennies, and she says, now one of those is not yours. It belongs to the Lord. And so we learned tithing as giving a penny out of, when you have 9 left, it's easy to give a penny. And so it became easy to tithe and easy to give. And I love to give to missions because it's always on my heart. Sometimes I get in trouble with because I give too much, and then they say, oh, you have to be careful. You might have something come up that you need it. But if you give a 10th, and you don't even start giving until after you give a 10th, that is not even yours to keep and to spend. So that's little things like that, stealing and walking with the Lord and knowing what was right and what was the thing to do and the thing not to do. And we learned to read our Bibles. We were taken, like I say, to prayer meeting. Church was a place Sunday where we learned to be faithful in God's house. And it's just, I think families today are missing out so much when instead of going to church, they're at a ballpark someplace, soccer, football, or someplace else. I think they're missing out some valuable times of lessons just being in God's house on Sunday.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that you've touched on that, because today family seems different. Like people are so preoccupied with a lot of stuff that is happening. I mean, either kids are in sports, they're active, but
it's good things. It's good things. I mean, I don't say there's anything bad about it, but it's just, it's where you have your priorities and what's important to you. What's important is that your children are watching you, and they say, Mom and Dad don't go, then I don't have to go. And they have a pattern like that the rest of their lives.
Yeah, that's very, very profound, because that means parents have to model that for their kids.
They have to. They have a responsibility, God-given responsibility. And if you don't put your values there so they can see them, who are they going to learn from?
That's pretty profound. I think that's very helpful for parents out there, that they have to be the role model to their kids. To see, if they want to see their kids do something, they have to play it out themselves first.
Exactly.
And then the kids can pick it up from them.
Yeah.
Now, you said this man swept you away, you were married. Talk about marriage. Like how was your household, you and your husband and the kids? How were you balancing all that? You were a wife, you were a mother. How were you balancing all that together?
Well, it's a little bit old-fashioned, I guess, what you'd call it. I guess you have to remember my years. And I'm speaking my age now, but back there, the husband was the head of the home back in those days. And it wasn't the wife who took the forward steps. It was together. And I'm sorry to say, sometimes now in this day and age, the woman is playing her part and the husband's part. And I'm sorry to say, this is my age that it's talking about. But I wouldn't want it any other way. We had a happy marriage. We almost made it to 44 years, and then a good Lord took him home. So I've been a widow since, for many years, 30 years, I believe it's been, that I've been a widow.
Sorry about that. I love what you said, that you did it together.
Yes, we did it together.
You did it together.
Yeah.
I feel like it's still not different even today. Like married people need to remember that marriage is not a one-man show. It's a togetherness. It's togetherness. Yeah.
But he is the head of the home, as Christ is the head of the church. And that's the way I was brought up, and that's the way we had our home. And thank goodness it worked. It worked.
That's amazing. Would you say that you were submissive to your husband? Because the Bible tells us like women need to submit to their husband. But today I feel there is a misunderstanding about what that is. No. Most people, especially today. What would you say to that?
Well, we worked things out together. It was my decision and his decision. And of course, it was never always the same decision, but we decided the best for the children. And that was our main objective, to and of course God's will and God's plan. But and it worked. He wanted me to stay home and be in the home, and so that's where I stayed. I was a homemaker, and he always thought that I had the most important job, and that was raising, home with the children. I got to see their first tooth when it came through. I got to see their first walking step, where sometimes the mothers these days, they have to work, and they're cheated out of that, I think.
That's beautiful. Because today it's different, because now women are working, women are bosses, they have businesses going, and they have all these responsibilities. I mean, that sometimes even women are making much more money than the men. How would you speak to a couple right now where the woman is now the one who's more empowered? She has a business, she's a working mom, she's busy. What advice would you give them to be able to balance all that and have a happy home, have a happy family?
Well, I don't know. I've never done that. So, but I would say that they don't have to have the best of cars. We got secondhand ones sometimes. In fact, I didn't have a car for quite a few years after I had the children. You don't have to have the boat. You don't have to have a motorhome. Those things will come later, but you don't have to have all those things that your folks have after they have worked and lived for several years. I don't think that you don't have to have the best. You don't have to keep up with the neighbors. You can just do with less. But I would say that you should have a special time when the two of you can work things out together. At nighttime is kind of a bad time. You're both tired. Maybe a special date night. A special time when you can get off to yourself and try to work things out together. I guess that's what I would say. I've never had to do that, so I'm not very much to give advice in that territory, I don't think.
Okay, that's what you've given is really beautiful too. It's like you don't have to have all these things.
You don't have to have all those things.
Stick to the important thing. It's your relationship with your husband or with your wife, spending that quality time together and working through stuff together.
And with the children, and let them see that you love one another. It's okay to kiss each other in front of the kids. And it's okay to put your arms around each other and show them love. Show them that you love them, God loves them, and you're one as a family.
Wow, that's beautiful. Show them that you love one another.
Love one another.
Because you're modeling that for them into their future families, how they're going to handle their own families. That's really beautiful. Yeah. What would you say that kept you guys together when you encountered storms and trials in your marriage or in your family? What kept you together?
Prayer. Pray together. Pray together. You got a great God. He knows all about tomorrow, today's and the tomorrow's. He's the same yesterday as he is tomorrow and the next day. And he knows the outcome. And I think sometimes we're in too much of a hurry to make a decision. Take your time. It takes time to be holy. It takes time for things to happen. And so you have to, if you don't get an answer right away from the Lord, take a little time. Give him time. Give yourself time. Think it over. What might be okay today may not be the same tomorrow.
Wow. That's a good word right there. Yeah. That's a good word to always remember. Always remember prayer. Prayer is very important in a Christian life.
Yes, it is.
It's very important. I want to ask you, how, you now personally, how has your walk with God been? Or who is Jesus to you? What does he mean to you?
Oh my. I can't tell you how many times. Friend, he's my master, even above my husband. Who's gone now, but and also he's my savior. He's my sanctifier. He's my light on my path. Oh dear, he has so many wonderful. He's the shepherd. He was the shepherd of my children. He's my guide. Oh dear. There's so many different names I could give Jesus.
That's that. I mean, I'm sure he
He's-
also.
He's closer than your telephone. You can go to him at any time of the day or
I
night.
love that he's closer than your telephone.
Yes, and you know our telephones now are. We've got these new what do you call them? Smartphones.
Yeah, smartphone.
Jesus is much smarter than that telephone.
Jesus is much smarter than that telephone that you have in your hands.
And much closer. And I know everybody carries them with me, either your back pocket or your purses or in your hand.
Yeah.
Wherever you go, they've got the telephone.
Yeah.
But Jesus is closer than that.
Wow. Well, Marlene, I want to ask you, like, if you were to go back in life, what are some things that you think you would change or that you think you would make different?
Oh dear. I think I would stay back in North Dakota.
Why North Dakota?
North Dakota is kind of a, it's slower than, it's not as busy. When you come in the door, the coffee pot came on, and they sit and they talk and they visit, and people are so busy these days. And as I find that out in Oregon, that's where I'm from, and that's where we're shooting from, I guess. But anyway, I like the North Dakota style of living. It's slow, it's meaningful, and neighbors help. You know your neighbors. I know most of mine now, but I've lived here in this place for quite a little while. But there seems to be more care for your neighbors, more love, more concern, and it's just it's a pleasant place to live. I love it.
So when you would stay in North Dakota, what else would you do differently? Like, what else would you do?
What else would I do differently? Well, I always regret that I didn't follow my calling as a missionary. But God has given me, He does forgive. And He picks up the broken pieces and puts together something else that's beautiful. So I guess that would be something that I would do differently. But as it stands now, and as I come to the end of my life, and I'd like to live to be 100 and start all over again.
Sure, I would want to have you for more 100 years. Yeah.
But as I come to the end of my life, I'm grateful for what I've learned and how God has blessed my life and blessed my life with so many wonderful grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And I'm maybe great. I don't know, but anyway, God is good, and I don't think I would do anything different except for that one thing.
Yeah. I feel like, when you say you regret not being a missionary, you remember what you said, that your children were your mission field?
They were.
I feel like, sometimes we are tied being a missionary as to going maybe to different countries or going to Africa or to China, but I feel like our mission, like here on us, starts with our family, starts with our closest, starts with the next door neighbor. That's where mission starts from, like where you're at. And I feel like you've done that so well with your family. I mean, when you see your kids, your they all smile when they see you. They all are happy when they see you. I mean, you've done it, and you said you're supporting all these many mission organizations. I feel like you've done that. You have done that, and I feel God is so proud of you for doing that.
Well, they were both pastors at one time, and the boys, and yes, I'm thankful the way they have lived their lives. Julie is married to a pastor's son, and they have a wonderful family, and she sings and is a big part in the church, and Cindy also, and she's married to a doctor, and he's doing wonderful work for people. So I can't really say God did bless me with so many blessings that I can't begin to count all of them. So
That's good. Like, what would you say to your younger self?
what would I do?
What would you say to your younger self? Like, things, advice that you give to your younger self that you'd say to that younger child?
If I was young again, I would say I definitely would walk with the Lord, with Jesus. Make him your dearest friend, and see what good you could do with your families, with your neighbors. And I would, at very early age, and I can remember when I first went to the altar, I was only 3.5 years old. But I went because the pastor was preaching, really scared me.
Oh,
He was
at
hell.
3
It
years
was
old.
hell, 3.5. And I was frightened, and I didn't want to go to hell. And so I went to the altar, and I definitely want to go to heaven. But I've learned since then that, yes, there is a heaven and a hell. But Jesus is so much more than just not going to hell. He puts the joy in your heart, gives you a reason for living, and a peace that passeth all understanding. And you just have to lean upon him, and he's always there in the middle of the night, like I say, or anytime you need to pray. And I go through a songbook. That's part of my devotional, and along with the Bible. And I love music, and it's a real blessing to me.
Yeah,
music is so.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I want you to picture that you are speaking to your great grandchildren and you're sitting around them. What are those words that you would say to them that you would want them to live with for the rest of their lives?
I would say the very first thing that they should do is to seek the Lord and open your heart to him. Make room for him in all you do, whether it's education, no matter what your job is in life, take him with you at every step of the way. Early in life, you're liable not to make mistakes if you do that. Big mistakes. If you walk with him, and if you walk with him closely, just as close as you can.
And if maybe there are some people out there that feel like they've made mistakes in life and they've fallen so deep that they feel they have even beyond rescuing, what would you say to them?
There is nothing that God will not forgive. Nothing. And you can be the worst person, do the worst things, and you know you are your worst enemy to begin with. And the devil will tell you that you're no good, that you can't make something out of your life. That's not true. Jesus takes, like I said earlier, the broken pieces and makes something beautiful out of your life. Just ask for forgiveness, and he will forgive you, and he will come in and live within your heart and life, and you'll be a happy person, and life will be worth living if you just give your life to the Lord.
You just give your life to the Lord, life would be worth giving. It doesn't mean that things are going to be easy.
No, he said it isn't going to be easy, but it will be worth it all when we see Christ. It will be worth it all.
it'll be worth it all. It'll be worth it all. The good, the bad, and the ugly. All
Yes.
of it that you go through, because sometimes life can throw you different things.
Oh,
and
yes. Yes.
how have you been able to overcome the challenges in this life?
Well, sometimes it makes me very sad, some of the things that you see and some of the things that you hear, and some of the disappointments in your own family members brings you to your knees. And it, we have such a hope in the Lord that, and we have such an understanding God and a forgiving God that we know that if we just take things to Him, that things will be okay. It's a walk with Him, daily walk with Him, every step of the way. And He sheds light onto our path and gives us hope, gives us a longing for heaven. I miss my family members, all of my sisters and brothers and siblings, and their husbands or wife. They're gone. And most, as far as I know, I believe that they're in heaven. And I'll see them again. And it won't be too long. So I'm happy about that.
That's beautiful. I want you to speak to families right now that there is disunity. They don't want nothing to do with each other, especially when we see today's family where kids are against their parents, parents are against their kids. There is fights. It's only fighting in the family. What would you say to this kind of a family that is wrestling with each other?
Well, like I say, you got to get God in your life. You've got to realize that arguing and fighting and disagreeing is going to get neither one of you any place. I've never had that, so it's kind of hard to know. But to cope with it, prayer again. Find yourself